Hello and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, January 18th, and I'm your host, Krista McDonald. On Wednesday night, the school committee went on the road and held their traveling school committee meeting at the Oldham Elementary School. To start the meeting, Principal of the Oldham, Dr. Manaday, addressed the committee.
Welcome, school committee, Dr. Thompson, Dr. Wyatt, and parents, family, and community members, teachers, and staff members also. We're happy to have you here at the Oldham School. The school is a busy place. In addition to the core curriculum, we constantly strive to extend student learning and expose our students to many educational opportunities.
I just also want to take a second, because I know this is your last year with us that you're retiring, and just to, on behalf of myself and I'm sure the rest of the committee, just to thank you for all of the hard work and years of service that you've given to not only the students in this school, but to all of the students and faculty and staff of Norwood.
Thank you. They've been a wonderful dozen years, 12 years here at the Oldham School. Thank you.
Thank you for your years of service to the town of Norwood and to the Oldham Elementary School. Next in the meeting, Director of Building and Grounds, Paul Riccardi, and Director of IT, Joe Kidd, presented their capital outlay plans to the committee. After their presentations, the discussion moved to the budget. The school department is currently facing a $3 million deficit, which will force a lot of hard decisions in the near future. There were concerned teachers and parents in the audience, and the committee spent most of the meeting discussing possible items that can be cut to lower their current deficit, but no decisions were made. The items discussed were eliminating busing for the high school, closing a school in town, reorganizing the grades to include kindergarten and elementary school, moving the 5th to middle school, and moving 8th grade to the high school, and to make all extracurricular activities such as sports, fine arts, and clubs self-funded. The committee stressed that none of these decisions are easy for any member, but some choices have to be made to level the school's budget. The school committee drafted a letter to the Board of Selectmen, which was read during the meeting by member Maura Smith.
Dear members of the Board of Selectmen, select people perhaps, as there is a woman. As members of the school committee, we recognize that each elected board has designated roles and responsibilities. As such, the Board of Selectmen has the sole authority to put questions on the ballot and to select the date for any special elections. We are writing this letter to be sure that you are aware of the schedule constraints faced by the school department as the town of Norwood considers a potential operational override. A few different options have been mentioned as possible times for an override vote. April 1st with the general municipal election, early June immediately after town meeting, or late June or early July, allowing for decisions to be made at town meeting. Each would have advantages and disadvantages. With respect to the schools, we are concerned with staff retention, having adequate time to make budget decisions and explain these to the public who may understandably have many questions, and having sufficient time for the schools and families in town to react to any necessary changes. As you know, the school committee is currently in the process of setting our budget for FY20, assuming that there is no override. We need to cut more than $3 million from our level services budget to achieve a balanced budget. Note that at the November 29th presentation by the Budget Balancing Committee, the schools outlined several improvements and restorations that we would like to make over the next 5 years. Our budget projections included money to purchase new curriculum, increase staffing at the high school to better meet the needs of our students, invest in personalized and project-based learning, and ensure that we have the necessary resources across the district to support our high-need students, such as English language learners and special education students. We want to be clear that none of these improvements or restorations are included in our level services budget. So we have already eliminated all of that and still need to reduce our budget by more than $3 million. Although the school committee has not yet voted on specific cuts, it is clear that we will need to consider significant cuts to funding for extracurricular athletics, fine arts, and clubs. We will consider reductions in school buses and increases in student fees. However, even if we completely eliminated extracurricular activities and only provided buses according to state requirements, we would still need to make significant cuts, which will include faculty and staff layoffs. At the high school level, we may eliminate some elective offerings. At the middle school, we may need to adjust the team model, meaning staff reductions. At the elementary level, we will be discussing the possibility of closing a school. All of these cuts would have significant impacts, and they would all require time to implement. An override vote on April 1st would give us limited time to explain the budget and answer questions, but it has a significant advantage in that it would allow the school district and families time to implement any necessary changes. If the vote is delayed to June or later, it is likely that we will lose many teachers even if an override were to pass. As soon as the school committee votes on the budget, some teachers and other staff will know that their continued employment depends on passage of an override. These teachers are likely to start looking for a new job immediately. However, February and March are not busy hiring times for schools. If we were to have a positive vote for an override on April 1st, it is likely that most of the teachers looking for new jobs would not yet have been offered positions and would decide to stay in Norwood. If there is no vote until June or later, even if an override were to pass, we would likely have already lost teachers to other districts. The school department has legal responsibilities for when formal layoff notices must be provided to the impacted employees. We will need to notify teachers by June 15th. If we provide layoff notices, employees can start collecting unemployment starting July 1st and can collect until they are formally rehired. Beyond the concerns about how many cuts will impact our staff, each cut that we will be considering would require time to implement. For extracurriculars, the fall athletic season starts in August, but planning for it begins months before that. If significant funding is cut, booster groups may wish to help support the teams, but they will need time to react. The annual musical at the high school is performed in September, but auditions are held in June, so scripts have to be purchased before that. All of that work could be delayed pending an override vote. The middle school and high school may need to make significant changes to their schedules if there is no override. At the high school, students are asked to select their classes for next year starting in February. However, this year, we may not know what class offerings will be available until there is a vote. At the elementary level, closing a school and/or redistricting will be under consideration. At most of our elementary schools, students are accustomed to learning who their teacher will be for the following year on the last day of school before summer vacation. This year, students could be faced with not knowing which school they will be attending the following year. If there is a late June or early July vote, the decision would still be up in the air. If an override vote fails and the school committee has opted to close a school or redistrict, it will take quite a bit of time to determine how best to reassign the students. Logistically, if a school must close, this is a significant undertaking. It will take time to pack and move classroom furniture and materials. Our teachers are only contracted to work until the last day of school, currently scheduled for June 19th. If they need to pack up to move, we would either need to start that at a few weeks before the end of school or pay them to come in over the summer. As we stated at the beginning of this letter, we understand that it is up to the Board of Selectmen whether or not to put an override vote on the ballot. We simply ask that you consider our concerns about time constraints as you make your decision. Respectfully, the Norwood School Committee.
To watch the whole meeting, tune into the NCM government channel or stream it on norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Stay tuned after this break for an update from the DPW and the town clerk's office. Welcome back. At the beginning of the week, the town of Norwood faced a snow and ice storm, then a deep freeze which caused dangerous road situations around town. Only 3 days later, the temperatures were 50 degrees warmer and Mother Nature dealt us another blow with heavy rains and winds which caused some flooding. The DPW had their hands full handling all the elements this week.
Hi everyone, Mark Ryan here from the Public Works Department. It's Friday, January 25th, and I'm standing in front of the salt shed here. And it's filled up right now, but early in the week it was not. As everyone experienced, we had a very challenging winter event. DPW was out starting 8 o'clock Saturday, January 19th, with snow salt operations. That went through the night with plowing operations during the day of Sunday, January 20th, and that operation went to approximately 11 o'clock Sunday night. So we were at it for about 27 hours straight, sanding, salting, plowing, scraping, trying to get through this very difficult storm. We only had 5 inches of snow, but the freezing rain and sleet afterwards really created havoc, not just in Norwood, but all the communities in this area. Mother Nature helped us out quite a bit yesterday, Thursday, the 24th, with quite a bit of rain and nice temperatures peaking out at 60 degrees. So the streets are all clear. It was a challenge. Typically during a storm, we would use 200 to 300 tons of rock salt. This storm we used 700 tons of rock salt, as well as about 4,000 gallons of liquid magnesium chloride. That's another additive. And one of the things we all have to realize is when temperatures start getting into the teens and single digits, the salt is not as effective. So that's why it took so much longer to melt the roads. But we're back up with enough salt for the next events. We're doing well there. The weekend looks great. It's going to be clear, sunny, and moderate temperatures. So make sure you go downtown to shop and dine. It's going to be a great weekend. And just a little bit of tidbit, if you're ever driving by the Public Works Department and you look at top of the salt shed, there's a cupola. And at night you might see it lit up. And this mimics what goes on at the John Hancock Building in Boston. It's a weather forecasting system that was put in place years ago for residents of Boston, and we've duplicated it here. So when you come by and you see a steady blue light, that means clear view. If you see a flashing blue light, that means clouds are due. If you see a steady red light, it means rain ahead. And then if you get a flashing red light, snow instead. So keep that in mind, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, Mark, and thank you to all the men and women at the DPW. Great job this week in some very tough conditions. The annual town election will be held this April, and there are several seats available to run for in Norwood. If you're planning on running for a local office this spring, you'll need to visit the town clerk, Mary Lou Folan, for your nomination papers.
Hi, I'm Mary Lou Folan, the town clerk for the town of Norwood. I'd like to give you some information for the upcoming annual town election, which is going to be held on Monday, April 1st, 2019. Nomination papers for the town election are due into the town clerk's office by Monday, February 11th at 5 p.m. The major offices we have available on the ballot is Selectman, Moderator, Board of Health, School Committee, Finance Commission, Planning Board, Library Trustees, Constable, and Norwood Housing Authority. New town meeting members in their district need to get 10 signatures in their district. Incumbent town meeting members can return a form that was mailed to them by February 11th. Again, nomination papers are due February 11th by 5 p.m.
Stay tuned after this break to find out what is happening in your local government.
We have a responsibility as a community
to give all our youth the best opportunity to succeed.
To stop a problem before it starts.
To not stigmatize mental health and addiction.
We have a responsibility
to promote positive youth and adult relationships.
To engage youth in the community.
We have a responsibility
to maintain,
to encourage,
to take pride in the health of our youth.
We have a responsibility to give all our youth the best opportunity to succeed.
Together we can make an impact.
Learn how you can be involved at impactnorwood.org.
Welcome back to Norwood News. The Board of Selectmen held their weekly meeting Tuesday night at Town Hall. Norwood resident Charles Donahue appeared before the board with local artist Thomas Dunley to present the third painting in a trilogy series commissioned by Donahue.
I've been commissioning Thomas to do paintings of Norwood. He's done a trilogy. Up here we have one that we donated about 10 years ago, which has become very popular. He did one of Norwood High before it was torn down, and the one we're presenting to you tonight is his most recent. I commissioned them, but he lets me make copies of them, and we sell them for a scholarship fund at Norwood High. So every year my family gives a scholarship to a student who wants to become a teacher. My mother's a teacher. My father also is the chairman of the school committee in Norwood. So
the Selectmen also had appointments with Recreation Superintendent Travis Farley, Launch Trampoline Park, and Paul Easy and Bernie Cooper of the Winter Concert Committee. The concert series kicks off this Sunday at 2 p.m. at the NHS Auditorium with the Randolph Community Band. This year's concert series is in memoriam of Dolores Elias, an outstanding town volunteer and a key member of the Concerts Committee. Formerly known as the Conservation Trails Subcommittee, the Trails Advisory Committee held their first meeting as an advisory board to the town manager. The advisory board discussed their newsletter, a master plan rewrite, and mission statement, as well as planned out future walks. Wednesday evening, the Community Preservation Committee met in room 24 of Town Hall for their first meeting of the 2019 year. Along with appearances from Bernie Cooper and Ramonda Morgan, Recreation Superintendent Travis Farley and Balch School Principal Diane Ferreira appeared before the committee to discuss the potential reconstruction of the skate park located behind the Balch School. The proposal is to resurface the area in and around the park for further recreational use.
Having that down there also is an option for us for all grades to go and cycle through and use it as just an outdoor classroom. They can do book buddies down there, read, look at nature, do whatever they want. It would be really exciting to have that option for our kids. Something like that, or if we got tables at some point, but just an outdoor option for learning. You know, just something like that would be very exciting for us.
The Community Preservation Committee will meet again on February 6th. To watch complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government Channel or watch it on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Stay tuned after this break to find out what is happening in your schools.
Hey everybody, Norwood News Sports reporter Brian Dunn here to make a very exciting announcement on behalf of NCM. Starting in 2019, we will be offering a podcasting platform to all our viewers and now listeners, which means in the coming weeks you'll see podcasts out on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and feeds of the like. We're starting off with town sports and broadcasts of basketball and winter sports, and in the coming weeks you'll see government meetings out on our podcasting channels as well. So we hope you take full advantage of this exciting and new platform that we're offering to our viewers and again, now listeners. Thank you and happy podcasting.
Welcome back. Now let's toss it over to our friend Tim Rose to find out what is happening around the Norwood School District.
Hi guys, let's take a look at some activities happening in our Norwood schools this week. At the Little Mustangs Preschool Academy, the boys and girls had the chance to form a band with musician Sarah Gardner. She brought in a variety of instruments for the children to play, such as ukuleles, maracas, drums, and egg shakers. She also showed the children how easy it is to make instruments out of recycled containers and plastic spoons. Miss Sarah taught the children some new songs and also played some classics while incorporating opportunities for the children to sing and play along. Research shows introducing music in the early years develops concentration, memory, and listening skills. Music also develops a child's vocabulary and stimulates new neural pathways and connections in the brain that speed up the learning process. It also enhances the creativity and curiosity in children. While all that sounds pretty technical, the most important part of music in the early childhood classroom is all the smiles that it brings. The Little Mustangs would all like to thank the PTO for sponsoring this awesome event. The Prescott School would like to send out a big thank you to their two custodians, Mr. Kevin Ogrizik and Mr. Craig Bishop, for helping to ensure that their students and staff were able to arrive safely to school this week during the storm. Students, teachers, and staff have also enjoyed building their literary community through their school-wide read of Ruby Holler. The reading of the text takes on many variations, including reading alone, reading aloud as a class, or reading in small groups, seen here in Mrs. Healy's 4th grade class. In addition to sharing in the experience together, teachers and students are also blogging about their thoughts. This is a great way to establish a true community of learners. The Prescott was also fortunate to have Superintendent Thompson visit this week to participate in instructional rounds with Principal Riley and the 5th grade teaching team. In this initiative, started by Principal Riley, teachers are able to get outside their own classroom and see the amazing practices that are happening just next door. In a quick huddle prior to visiting classrooms, teachers discuss areas that they would like to see, such as how other teachers run math centers, include rich, authentic texts in their writing lessons, or integrate subjects like science and writing. This is followed up with discussing next steps and how they can support each other in advancing their practice. This new practice has already shown to be fruitful for the staff, and they look forward to more opportunities to learn as the year progresses. At the Callahan School, students in grade 5 recently participated in the National Geography Bee with guest moderator Mr. Griffin, the former principal of the Callahan School. Congratulations to runner-up Christian McIntyre and winner Samuel Santos. Students in Mrs. Breen's 4th grade class have been studying geography of the Northeast region. They recently participated in the Great Puzzle Race. Students created the region, cut out the states, and then had to put the puzzle back together. They had a great time and they learned a lot in the process. Grade 2 students continue to work on developing their mathematical thinking using the Envisions math program. Students participate in whole class instruction, small group instruction, partner work, and independent work. Next week, the Callahan School will participate in the 2nd annual Super Bowl Challenge, yes, Super Bowl as in Soup-er Bowl, to collect items for the Norwood Food Pantry. Last year, grade 3 were the champs. Stay tuned for who will be the winner this year. Recently, the students at the Callahan and Oldham participated in physical education class with a unit titled Having Fun with Fitness. For several weeks, the students learned activities to enhance their cardiovascular, strength, and flexibility. To culminate the unit, students were challenged in a class-long circuit training workout that included the various activities learned in class. Running, jump rope, and burpees were performed for cardio development. Push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and dumbbells were used to enhance strength. Finally, students were allowed to create their own stretching routine, including yoga poses to develop flexibility. Great job by all the students in every grade levels at both schools. At the Cleveland School, students learned about the ancient art of folding paper when they attended an origami workshop presented by Michael Afossi of the Origamato Studio. He provided a historical overview before students had the opportunity to build their own works of paper art. With just one sheet of paper, students were able to create a kite, a sailboat, and a duck just by folding. The students enjoyed providing the wind for their ducks so they could float across the imaginary lake. Let's take a look. The Coakley Middle School had multiple lessons and activities on the life of Martin Luther King. The 6th grade English classes read a synopsis of his life, chose a quote, and were given a variety of options to demonstrate how the quote would impact their life. Students used Prezi presentation software as well as Flipgrid videos and essays. The 6th grade social studies students watched videos of the civil rights movement and chose a quote to pair with a picture using Google Slides. And finally, in 7th grade English, students chose a quote and wrote how these words could impact others. All of these projects were then shared with their classmates. Well, that's it for school news this week, and thank you for watching. Now let's go to Brian Dunn with the latest sports news.
Thank you, Tim, and welcome into another edition of the Sports Update. Lots of bus rides this week as many Mustang teams hit the road for their matchups, including the girls basketball team, as they traveled to Mills to determine Tri-Valley supremacy. As going into the matchup, Norwood and Mills were the only undefeated teams left in the Tri-Valley. Norwood had their chances and the game was kept tight throughout all 4 quarters, but some free throw trouble gave Mills the opportunity to pull away 42-40. Norwood dropped its first of the year in a Tri-Valley contest. Some home action on the wrestling mat as Norwood took on Dedham for the annual Gregory Police Trophy meet. Some individual victories were picked up by Norwood, but overall Dedham did enough to get the job done and pull out the victory 63-18. Boys hockey traveled not too far to Milton to take on the Wildcats. It was an aggressive matchup at the Ullin Ice Rink, but the team skated to a 2-2 draw in non-conference action. The girls team hit the road to Ursuline Academy to battle the Bears. Ursuline, a very competitive team, gave the Mustangs a great game and ultimately found the 2-goal edge to seal the 5-3 win over Norwood. Gymnastics is on a roll as of recent, because weeks after posting their highest score ever against Norton, the team renewed the Walpole rivalry and came out on top by a score of 138.5 to 127.1. Swim and dive action resumed this week as the team hosted Hopkinton. The Hillers come away with the win here, 101-80. The Mustangs will take on Westwood this coming Tuesday, January 29th, at the Westwood High Pool. And that's the recap for this week, but I want to end this week's update by sharing an Instagram post from someone we all know around the sports community very well, Matt Brown. This past Wednesday was the 9-year anniversary of a day that would change Matt's life forever. He posted this on Instagram just this past Wednesday. Quote, "No, this day does not get any easier. In fact, sometimes it feels like the complete opposite. But this past year was filled with some amazing moments. Our 5th Boston Marathon, starting my master's program, a vacation with my family to Hawaii, and of course, finishing Line Change. The truth is, we can't change the past, no matter how much we want to. But today, I am healthy, happy, and trying to live each day the best I can. So I ask you, instead of dwelling on it, find it in you to overcome it. You are all capable. To my family and friends and those complete strangers sending messages of encouragement, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the continued support. Let's see what the next 365 has in store." Again, a great message for a great person and such an inspiration to the town of Norwood. Thank you, Matt, for everything that you do. And that'll conclude this week's update. I'll check back in with you next week. Back to you, Kristen.
Thanks, Brian. On Monday, the Norwood Masons hosted their annual Tony Awards, where they recognized Norwood's youth for their community service efforts. Co-chair Mary Connolly explains.
The Norwood JCs ran the program initially, and they came up with the program to recognize youth in the town of Norwood based on, for awards just for community service, because ordinarily the athletes and the scholarship students get a lot of accolades, and the community service students don't always. So we decided to organize this program to recognize that aspect of high school years. And we picked anyone in the town over 21 can nominate a student, and the student then gets a letter that they have been nominated, and they have to fill out an application process and write an essay, and that gets submitted. And then we have 5 judges from 5 different auspices in the town that review the resumes and choose the winners.
Congratulations to all the students recognized this year, and thank you to the Norwood Masons for all they do for the Norwood community. Last weekend, a video popped up on Facebook of 2 Norwood police officers joining a local pond hockey game at the famous Froggies. The video shows both of the officers in full uniform skating around with a group of children. The 2 officers were Patrolman Rick McGowan and Patrolman Brian Cedrone, both Norwood High School graduates and longtime hockey players. We had a chance to speak to them about how this idea came about.
I was talking to dispatcher Jimmy Maroney, and he asked us, mentioned that we should go down, play some hockey. He knew that we had played. I went upstairs, talked to our sergeant on duty, who was Sergeant Carey, asked him if we could go down and play some hockey, and he approved it, and I got Brian to come along with me.
Yeah, so he approached me, he said, "What do you think about this?" I said, "I think that's a great idea, Rick. Let me run home, grab my equipment, and I'd love to join you." So we headed down here once we grabbed our hockey equipment, and from here I think we played a good pickup game with some of the kids.
At first, the children did not know what to expect when the officers arrived, but they soon realized that they were in for a fun night.
So it was like like the whole entire squirts, PEWs, and some bantams, and then the cops just came around rolling in, and so they started playing with us, and so I can't remember which one was on my team and the one on the other, but they were really good.
And I got excited because I saw them. They had their skates on and sticks and gloves, and they came out to have fun with us and play hockey.
After they laced their skates up, they were put on separate teams, and it was game time.
They split us up. We went on one team, I went on the other, and from there I think our team might have beat you pretty good. I think it got pretty. We had to switch the teams up because those kids were good. We're not gonna lie.
For Officers McGowan and Cedrone, it brought back a lot of memories from their days of skating on the ponds.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I grew up skating here at Froggies. It's a lot of fun. Just brought back some good memories.
I had a great time. I grew up here as well playing. I remember coming after school, me and a bunch of my buddies would come down here, we'd skate, and then we'd have practice at night, and we'd have to go and get our skate strap, and we'd hit Day Street, and from there, we'd go to practice. But it was definitely an enjoyable night.
Thank you, officers. You have created memories for a group of children that will last a lifetime. Well, that's all for Norwood News. To stay up to date with Norwood Community Media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.